Introducing YouTube memberships, a fun way to support the channel while getting some exclusive perks. Click the join button to become a member now and get benefits like badges next to your name on videos, behind-the-scenes photos, advantages during the live trivia game, discounts on merchandise, private one-on-one video chats, the ability to request future video topics, and exclusive 8 to 10 minute videos on the history of the NFL. And now, on with our feature presentation. Was I punked last night? Was that actually a football game? I mean, my God. The Monday Night Football game between the Seattle Seahawks and the New York Giants was one of the ugliest on-field games of the entire season. Yes, the Seahawks won 24-3. And yes, there was a lot to like if you were a Seahawks fan. But in terms of the game as a whole, if you were an NFL fan, and especially if you were a Giants fan, that game was an atrocity on the eyes. That was the kind of game that made me wish at 8 years old that my parents didn't realize that I needed glasses, so I wouldn't be able to watch that game clearly. That was the kind of game that made me wish I had the vision of Patchy the Pirate and just wore an eye patch. That was, well, you get the idea. That game was ugly with a capital U on so many levels, and the fact that the Giants are so inept this season and have taken a step back in every way whatsoever, and we still have a few more primetime games having to watch this crap, is incredible to watch in all the worst ways. But of all the moments of ineptitude during this embarrassment of a football game, nothing, and I truly mean nothing, compared to whatever we saw at the end of the first half. I've watched a lot of bad football in my life. I've seen coaches do some really stupid things. But I am not exaggerating when I say that on both sides, the final 2 minutes of the first half of this contest, with the Seahawks leading 14-3, were up there with the worst 2 minutes of football from a coaching perspective I've ever seen in my life. I don't do dumb decisions episodes when it's both teams and when it's a full sequence of events. But these 2 minutes on both sides of the coin clearly qualify for sure. Because just about every single play on offense that was called was the wrong call. There was nothing that went right. It was like I was watching a completely different sport, as my head could not comprehend what the heck I was watching. Everything you're about to witness took place in the final 1 minute and 15 seconds of the first half. Keep that in mind. To start off, the Giants had the ball facing 3rd and 11 at the 24-yard line. Alright, admittedly not a great spot to be in. But if you're the Giants, the goal here is simple. Pick up the first down. You don't need breathing room for a punt, you're at the 24-yard line. So there's nothing you can do here, even if you get sacked, that will force you to punt the ball out of your own end zone if it comes down to that. The Seahawks have 2 timeouts, so running the ball to just go into the half won't work here. Because if you do run the ball, the Seahawks will just call a timeout with over a minute left and get the ball. You have to call a passing play here. I know Daniel Jones can't throw down the field even if his life depended on it, but you've got to try something besides a run. You're not getting 11 yards on a run, obviously, considering the fact that your longest run of the day by a non-quarterback was 7 yards, and your longest run of the day last week against San Francisco was 8. Even if the pass falls incomplete and stops the clock, it's not like that matters, since the Seahawks had 2 timeouts anyway. If they had none, different story. But they have 2, so the clock's not really an issue. So what do the Giants call here?
3rd down and 11, and a handoff to Breida. The crowd won't like that.
Of course, a run. A freaking run play that we all know has a 0% chance of picking up the first down. Way to show faith in your quarterback. Now, you just gave the ball right back to the Seahawks, and they have a timeout in their back pocket still, and they have a minute left. Why didn't you run the ball? You didn't need the breathing room on the punt. It either meant one of 3 things. You had no clue what the situation was, in which case, you're an idiot. You genuinely thought you could pick up 11 yards on a 3rd down run, in which case, you're an idiot. Or you don't trust your quarterback, in which case, you can just bench him since you're the man in charge, meaning that you're an idiot. Either way, you're an idiot. Just a baffling decision on so many levels to give the ball back to the Seahawks. But hang on, because it gets worse. We're just scratching the surface, because the next minute of football when it comes to coaching decisions is going to blow your mind. The Giants get off a good punt as it goes 61 yards down the field and pins the Seahawks at the 11-yard line. Now the Seahawks have a backup quarterback in the game in Drew Lock because Geno Smith got injured, and they have an 11-point lead while getting the ball back in the second half, since the Giants got the opening kickoff. The Giants have 2 timeouts, but there were only 53 seconds left. So if you want to go into the half here with the 11-point lead and just call some running plays, that is a totally respectable decision. Ideally, if you're going to just play for halftime, each play takes 5 seconds. You call a run to take it down to 48 seconds, another run to take it down to 43 seconds, and then on the final run, the Giants can't stop the clock. So the third down run takes us to the halftime break. Sure enough, the Seahawks call a run up the middle on first down, to which the Giants call a timeout. Fine. But then, on second down, the Seahawks, for some reason, do this.
Regardless of the big win against Arizona in the second half, Walker, only 1 timeout left for the Giants. Walker goes out of bounds.
Let me get this straight. You call a run to the outside? You call a run knowing that, in all likelihood, the running back will have to go out of bounds, thereby stopping the clock? What's the logic in that? Am I losing my mind? You run the ball for the purpose of going into the half up 14-3. And now, you call a run where it's more likely than not that the clock will be stopped, and the Giants will have a chance to get the ball back? Someone explain that coaching decision to me. So now, the clock is stopped, and the Giants have a timeout. So now if you're the Seahawks, facing 3rd and 8, you have to throw on 3rd down. A run does you no good whatsoever. A run will not pick up the first down in all likelihood. And even though a run keeps the clock moving, because the Giants have a timeout, they'll just use that timeout and get it back with about 40 seconds left and decent field position to get some points before the half, seeing as a punt, in all likelihood, gets them 20 yards out of field goal range for Graham Gano. And sure enough, the Seahawks, on 3rd down, knowing all of this, do this.
They hand it off to Walker. Now the Giants can use their last time out.
I give up. You called that sequence like you wanted to get into the half, while at the same time, wanted to stop the clock. Again, if you just ran up the middle 3 straight times and went into the half up 14-3, no problem. I'm not going to complain. I'm not making this vid. But the first down run was done with the purposes of keeping the clock running. The second down run to the outside was done with the purposes of stopping the clock. And the third down run was done with the purposes of keeping the clock running. Even though you can't keep the clock running because the Giants had a timeout. Do you know what to do, Pete Carroll? I'm being serious. What the heck is your objective here? I have no clue. I have no freaking clue. Nothing about this entire sequence made any sense whatsoever. And amazingly enough, it's about to get even worse. The Seahawks actually retained possession after another special teams penalty by the Giants, because their special teams on this day was atrocious. Turns out, there was defensive holding and running into the punter on this play. So a double whammy, and the Seahawks now have 1st and 10 at the 23-yard line with a timeout. Again, you can just go into the half with a 14-3 lead and regroup with momentum on your side. Or you can try and score here and go for some more points. Whatever you decide to do works for me. A run out of bounds on 1st down brings up 2nd and 6. A run up the middle by Kenneth Walker on 2nd down brings up 3rd and 1. And then, the Seahawks call timeout. So let me get this straight, Seattle. Let me get this straight. You call back-to-back running plays with the intent of running out the clock, because obviously, you're not getting anywhere close to possible field goal range by running the ball inside your own 30 with that little time left. And then, you call a timeout, thereby stopping the clock? What's the point of that? Do you know what you want to do, Pete Carroll and company? Are you trying to run out the clock? Or are you trying to score? If you're trying to run out the clock, then calling a timeout is stupid. If you're trying to score, then running that far back with that little time left is stupid. Either way, it's stupid. And whatever you want to do contradicts whatever you wound up doing. But okay, you have 31 now with 19 seconds left at the 32-yard line. Clearly, because you called timeout, in the weirdest way possible, you're trying to score. You have no timeouts left. The first down is completely irrelevant, because if you get the first down and it's a running clock, you're not going to have a whole lot of time after that to get plays off to get the field goal range. You have to throw the ball here. I mean, that's the only reason you would call a timeout, to move it deep down the field instead of just taking it into the half. If you run the ball, sure, if you don't get it, the clock will run down to triple zeros. But if there's a penalty, the clock stops. And this referee crew has been calling a crap ton of holdings today. And if you do run the ball here and get the first down, you've got no time left to do anything. So you have to throw here. You need something out of bounds so you can set yourself up for 2 more plays to get into field goal range. And sure enough, what do the Seahawks wind up doing?
They're moving the ball. They're creating holes. Walker, that is going to do it.
All right, you got the first down. So now you're going to run up to the line and spike the ball so you get 1 more play to get into possible field goal or Hail Mary range. Right? Right? Please tell me that's what you're doing, Seattle. I beg of you. Please tell me that's what you're doing.
Under 10 seconds. Everybody's headed for the locker rooms. And the fans get to boo.
What the hell is that?
I agree, Krusty. I agree. What the hell was that? So let me get this straight. You called the timeout on 3rd and 1 when you could have let it run into the half, presumably because you wanted to score. Then you call a play that gets you nowhere closer to scoring, seeing as you're not busting off a 68-yard run, and it's over the middle, so you can't even get to the outside. You get the first down, which again is irrelevant. And now you're going to the half on that note? I give up, Pete Carroll. I give up. Were you trying to score on this drive? Were you trying to drain the clock? What were you trying to do? Again, like I said before, if you did either one of those things, I would not be making this video. If you were trying to score and call plays that showed your intent of trying to score, that's fine. If you were trying to drain the clock and call plays that showed your intent of trying to drain the clock, again, that's fine. But you somehow did both and confused everyone in the process. And the only reason that you had an opportunity to do that in the first place was because the Giants were dumb enough to give you the ball back when they didn't necessarily have to, because they tried a running play on 3rd and 11 that went about as well as everyone knew it was going to go. The final 70 seconds of this half gave us not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 or maybe even 5 decisions that just left me scratching my head and losing my mind. The logic made no sense here. Look, Monday night's game in terms of the on-field product between the New York Giants and the Seattle Seahawks, the 2 teams behind me right here, was one of the worst games so far of the 2023 season. And I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that. But this entire sequence, even though it meant nothing in the grand scheme of things, primarily because Daniel Jones is the human equivalent of burning all your money, which in this case is $160 million, this sequence was just so bad that I still can't wrap my head around it. I need Advil or aspirin or something, because this just makes no sense. I'm trying my hardest, guys, I really am, but Brian Dable and Pete Carroll are just... I give up. I honestly, this season's broken me. This season's broken me already. I don't even know what to say. So what do we learn from all of this? Other than the Giants should not play another primetime game as long as Daniel Jones has a pulse and a heartbeat? If you don't need the breathing room, and you can't possibly kill the clock, then don't call a run on 3rd and 11, especially if the other team has multiple timeouts. If you're trying to run out the clock, then don't call a running play to the outside, where the running back will, more likely than not, get out of bounds, thereby stopping the clock. If you're trying to get a first down, then running on 3rd and long is probably not the best idea. If you're not trying to score, and you just want to go into the halftime break, then don't call a timeout when you have the ball and the other team can't stop the clock. And if you're trying to score, then don't call it up the middle with no timeouts, knowing that you can't do anything after that. Because when all these elements are in play, you get a host who's never drank in his life, but is looking for the nearest bottle of liquor right about now. I give up, guys. I give up. This season has already broken me. Get your official Jaguar Gear 9 merchandise by going to jj9shop.com, and be sure to like and subscribe, as it really helps the channel out a lot. Join me every Wednesday night where we'll play NFL Trivia for cash prizes at 9 p.m. Eastern over on Twitch. To learn more about the history of college football, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 8. To learn more about the history of Major League Baseball, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 7. Also, special thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for helping out the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. See how you can become a patron and request future video topics in the description below.